Hello, hello, hello. Well, today I'm going somewhere really, really cool. It's one of my favorite places in the world. It's the Queen Mary.
Somewhere at sea, a liner is somewhere at sea.
I got this book years ago. I suppose it's kind of rare that it's the hardback version. I guess the only way you can really find it now is in softback, which it really doesn't matter. I mean, hardback, that's cool, but wow, look at this. I mean, look at that. A huge fold-out map. That's awesome. This is a really, really rare book, The Art of the Queen Mary. I bought this in the late 90s. One of the best, if not the best, compilations of art from the Queen Mary. Full color, well, mostly full color. One of my favorites, you can see the little Queen Mary there. And he did it in this one, this side too. Very controversial paintings. Edward Wadsworth.
Somewhere at sea, a liner is somewhere at sea. Bringing to me a traveler who will build my life anew. He's out on the sea.
And here I am at the world famous Queen Mary. Here I am at the Queen Mary. The real Queen Mary this time. Let's go inside. The Queen Mary was one of the first ships to have an enclosed promenade deck. And if you see these little areas right here, these were heaters. So when the Queen Mary was basically, it was literally a transatlantic ship first, especially in the heyday. And it would be freezing, and so they had these little space heaters. You can kind of tell those little railings there. Every one of those would have been a space heater. I doubt they're still there, but you never know. Yay! For anybody who doesn't know, those used to be that was a movie house. What is that called? Projector room back there. And these would open up and they would project films, just like an old movie theater, onto the screen. And it was a very, very small screen, but it was pretty interesting for that time. Amazing room. Absolutely amazing. Still the ballroom, I believe. Does anybody know what this is? This is one of those old-fashioned phone booths. And the cool thing about this phone booth is you can go inside. There would have been a telephone here that you would pick up and put coins in. Well, actually, if you're on the ship, you probably wouldn't. Of course, it was usually used when it was out of port. It was used for inter-room communication. There was a lot of phones around the ship that did that. In case you wanted to say, "Hey, I'm running late." Actually, if it was the 40s, you'd go, "Hey, Marky, I'm running late. Catch me at the next sock hop." Whoops, that's 50s. I don't know my 40s. Is this an original flat screen TV? No, but it is in Piccadilly Circus. This is considered Piccadilly Circus here. This used to be Woolworths back in the day, back when the ship was sailing. This would have been Woolworths. This is where you would have bought newspapers and magazines and cigarettes and everything that everybody bought back in the 30s and 40s and the 50s and 60s. These are all cool. This is actually not where these big light urns would have been in the Grand Salon. I guess this is one of the only ones left, and they moved it out here to make it look really cool. It's cool. They did their job, but it doesn't belong, even though it does. Aesthetically, it does. These are cool. Little Queen Mary Captain bears. I don't know, if a bear was the captain of the ship, we would have some major issues. Little steward bears, and then these dogs, which I believe are corgis. Don't really have anything to do with Queen Mary, but they're very English, very British. This would have been the first class smoking sort of room. I think it was also called the drawing room. There's a very famous picture of Winston Churchill, and he would have been standing right here. There was also a very famous clock that was right there that's no longer there. You can tell the electronics for it's still there. This mural is all original. I've always loved this cat. That cat freaks me out. Freaks me out. No, I actually really like that cat. All very Art Deco style. Those clouds are definitely Art Deco. Amazing alabaster heater. It would have been a fake fire. That's what the English would have called it. Now it's a gift shop. That's awesome. That's a watch I definitely want. So many souvenirs. So many souvenirs. White star, do-do-do-do-do-do, white star, do-do-do-do-do-do. People think I'm crazy because I'm singing on the Queen Mary, but I don't care. There is it's a big door. There is a lot of props from the original, well, not props, but items from the original first class children's playroom, nursery. Not exactly on the spot, but boy is a lot of this original. It's insane that it's all just sitting there. This painting is part of a series called or it's basically just based on the Voyages of Sinbad. This one here, that one. I don't think those over there are. There's that little elephant swings. Those are cool. Little models of the Queen Mary, of course. It's incredible how much of this is original, and I guess it's not just sitting there, but there's not much happening. This is a model of the Normandy, which was Queen Mary's rival. If you ever go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, you'll see one of those murals. I believe it's that one. In fact, I'm almost positive it is. It was saved from the fire. This was the Grand Salon here. And if you notice, there is a really interesting stairway here. This is the Grand Promenade. Well, not Promenade, but this is where first class would come, and they would walk down this in their big dresses and everything, and they would come in here, and everybody would look. That was the way it was. Of course, I think this is actually the bigger of the ones. But there's actually a saying that originated from when the Normandy and the Queen Mary were competitors, that the French built an amazing hotel and created a ship around it, while the Queen Mary, the British, built an amazing ship and put a hotel inside. I'm gonna have to agree with both of those. Of course, I never actually saw the Normandy because it caught on fire well before I was born. Caught on fire and listed, and they eventually had to scrap it. What a shame, but it would have been great. It was an Art Deco masterpiece, such as the Queen Mary. But the Normandy, from my opinion, I think the Normandy would have been amazing. Anyway, these bumps weren't original. They put them in because kids would slide down. Actually, probably adults too. I'm not sure if it's these stairs, but there actually were deaths. Since we're in the bow of the ship, when it would hit a very large wave, this would be almost straight down. So people would walk down this way, and it would be straight down, and they'd go, whoa, I flew all the way down there, and now I've passed away. An anti-aircraft gun on the Queen Mary, they actually did have them, though they never actually used them. They had them as a deterrent. Well, actually, they had them as sort of a last resort. They really did drills every day. They had people who actually really know how to do it. Imagine this ship being completely covered with GIs and people coming back from the war. Once the war was over, actually even before, when it was a troop ship sending to the war in Europe, so many GIs would have been on the ship. In fact, I believe that the Queen Mary holds the record for most people on one floating vessel. It's insane, but it's true. I've been coming here for more than 20 years. Growing up in Utah, it was really tough to get out here. We always had to come out when I visited family, and most of my family didn't want to go with me. So I've come here alone a lot. And I really have something with this ship. I have a sort of kinship, no pun intended, but ever since I came here in 1989 for the first time, I had some kind of connection, and this is one of the few happy places I have. But I'm always really happy here. I always am. I would live on the ship if I could. I honestly, if they said you can live in one of the staterooms, even if it was one of the stupid small ones, I would totally do it. Tomorrow I'd do it. Why, I'd like to thank my brother George for sailing on the Queen Mary. My brother George. Remember that really psychedelic, strange painting I was telling you about earlier? Look, you can just about make out the little Queen Mary up there. These were not received very well. In fact, people straight up hated them. This is the original first-class smoking lounge. It's beautiful. It's a hard room to get into, as I've learned. This is the original long gallery. It would have gone much farther down that way. They have a wall there now. But the original long gallery there's two. There's one on the other side too. Has one of the more amazing paintings. Definitely one of my favorites. This bull painting. Oh, reflections aren't working. Very, very cool. And then, probably my favorite painting on the ship. This one. It's hard to see because of the reflections, but backstage at a circus. It's incredible. I love this. I think about this all the time. That Starbucks has been like 1,000 things. One time it was a California shake place. It was delicious, and it didn't last very long, but it was delicious. I still think about it. Hope that guy's okay. Ah, the old boat propeller. I'm actually technically outside of the ship. I guess it's a replica, but still cool. The propeller actually attached. There used to be a little swimmer guy in there, a little scuba diver. I'm down in the bowels of the ship. The bowels. It's really the engine room. A lot of this stuff is original, and you can definitely smell the oil. Not in great shape, but it doesn't need to be because this ship doesn't sail anymore. So that's the way that goes. This is a really cool area here. You can see the giant turbines that would spin the screws. Such a huge area down here. Can you imagine working down here and it's boiling hot? For instance, in Titanic, they had guys shoveling coal. Thankfully, in the 30s, we're a little bit more advanced than that. Queen Mary was run by oil. The engine's powered by oil, so no shoveling involved. But boy, were there a lot of gauges. Lots and lots of gauges.
When shall I see my lover come home from the sea? Hurry to me, great liner for you.
No trip to the Queen Mary would be complete without a trip to door 13. In the late 60s, a crewman was crushed to death at this very door. They didn't really know how it happened. He could have been playing chicken, or he could have been he could have been going back to get a wrench or something. We'll never know, but this is where he died. And he died alone. He was crushed to death here. People say they still see him. He's wearing a beard and I guess blue overalls. If a guy wearing beard and blue overalls walks down that hallway right now, I will absolutely lose my you-know-what. Really snazzy music. Why? Because I'm about to see the 4D movie. The 4D movie. Well, Queen Mary, it's been fun, but it's time to hit the old dusty trail. The old trail known as the 705. It's been fun. I love coming here. I love the feelings I get. I wish I could have sailed on her, but maybe in another life. It's starting to sound a little ghosty. But it was definitely fun, and I hope to see you soon. See you soon, Grey Ghost. See you soon. Whatever you were called, the Queen, I don't know. Bye.
Wherever you be, answer my plea, somewhere at sea.